Good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Plainsman Perspective. We're back for episode two here on the
Episode two. Let's
podcast.
go.
Got some more Auburn hoops to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the Auburn hoops world. So we're just gonna be kind of chatting about the games last week. I think that's probably where we'll start. Wow, talking is difficult today. I see. Um, we played Arkansas. What day was that? Tuesday. Tuesday. What did you see? It wasn't a satisfying win. I didn't get to watch the end of it, so I'm kind of default to you on this one. What did you kind of notice as far as what made that game so close?
Well, I mean, first of all, like the obvious thing. I mean, the shooting was absolutely disgusting. I mean, um, we had I mean, not even us. Like Big Z was what 0 for 9 from three, 30 minutes, just doing cardio out there.
Yeah, Clay
Um,
Thompson versus the
yeah,
Kings
exactly.
impression.
Tony Snell. Um, But I mean, really, that's been our issue. And I mean, like, I hear a lot of Bama fans talk about, oh, like we shoot better on the road, like that's their thing. Like, I've seen that with Bama for a while, but like, we're so used to the jungle being this just like hellhole for opposing teams, and like low key, like I feel like that was kind of the topic of discussion this week, is that like the
Mhm.
jungle's been kind of dead recently, and I think that energy is definitely matched with our players. I mean, we're coming off of a huge this week we're coming off a huge win, at Alabama when they were number 2. So it's like you play up for this game, but then you're kind of just, playing with your food a little bit, so to speak. It's like you're ready to play the big dogs again. And I mean, no disrespect to Georgia or Arkansas, but like, that's not number 2 Alabama. That's, bottom half of the SEC at home. You're not going to get up for that regardless. So I don't know, but shooting is the one thing that continues to be an issue, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think um, we talked about it last week. I think one thing that we said as far as the key to winning was just get Janai Broom the ball. And I felt like from what I watched in the Arkansas game, I didn't feel like that happened enough. I mean, obviously Big Z is, he played pretty well on the defensive end. He had a couple nice blocks and obviously got that tech after the block, or was that,
Stare.
yeah, that was after a
Yeah,
block
stare down.
where he's, yeah, the stare down. Yeah. So Big Z was, I think he was fired up. He's a competitor, but I think we saw it against Georgia. You get Jen Ibram the ball, and good things usually follow. Um, as far as the shooting goes, I think that's just kind of how basketball is. Like you can't shoot 40% from three every single game all season, which is what we've been doing. And I think they did a good job of finding other ways to win, although it was very ugly and was not a win that like was worth really being proud of. Like it wasn't something that I was like, oh yeah, we beat Arkansas by 20. It was like we scraped by Arkansas. So it's just like, tough, tough game there. And I think Arkansas has a lot of great players. Like, we talked about that. They have a lot of talent, but they just haven't been able to put it together. And I think they looked fired up. Like Carter Knox was hitting shots that he doesn't usually hit. It's like Richmond or whatever. That guy came off the bench and scored
Yeah,
like 6 points in the
Billy
first
Richmond.
half. And yeah, and he averages like 4 points on the year. I think, I talked about it a little bit with Woot a little bit, Chandler Wooten on Twitter. I asked him what his game analysis was, and he was saying that, when you're the number one team, like everyone's gonna get up to play you. And that we kind of have a target on our back, and it's just how it is. So, I think that's kind of the message I got from the Arkansas game. It's just teams are going to play us tough, and if the shots aren't falling, we just got to figure out other things to do. And we did that. Um, and then obviously, we played Georgia. Um, that was a great game. That was a fun one to watch. I mean, Janai Broom. We could just start with Janai Broom and just probably end there. Honestly, if we really wanted to, 31 points, um, 14 boards. I think it was that dunk off the pass from Chad. I mean, just the jungle was electric for the first time. It felt like a little bit. It's kind of been dead, like you said. What was your take on Janai Broom? Like, what did you see that allowed him to get 30 points? Because he hasn't really been able to
Um,
reach those heights yet.
well, that first half was very ugly. I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be honest. Like, that first half was probably the worst first half of basketball we played this year.
yeah,
And I mean, we still played really well on the defensive end, but offensively, like, settled for shots, turned the ball over, especially our guards. Um, just uncharacteristic stuff that just really showed we didn't really care. And then in the second half, I'm sure Bruce lit a fire under the team and was just like, this isn't gonna cut it. Like, we're better than
Mhm.
Georgia. Like, and then like I said, we said last episode, good things happen when you get to the ball to number 4.
Yeah.
And we started feeding Janai more in the second half, and he got going. I mean, I feel like especially even on those like fast break plays, or the one where I'm just remembering the one where Cardwell saved it, and
Mhm.
threw that outlet pass. But it was always like, where's number 4? Like, where's Janai? Like, get him the ball. And I think when our shots aren't falling, especially in March, because like, if
It's gonna happen.
considering we want to win a championship, you're not gonna have 6 games in a row where you shoot 40% from behind the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So our reliance on Janai Broom as a potential player of the year is going to be paramount in our success going forward. And I think that was a good learning opportunity today, more so than us seeing what Janai is capable of, more so our team seeing that when we can't do offense another way, then there's a very easy way to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, one thing that really stuck out to me, um, just about Janai Broom, it looks like you can kinda see. I saw this is unrelated to Auburn, but I saw a tweet of, I think it was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and it was just him scoring, and they were talking about, like, he's in the flow state of basketball. And I think you can see that with Janai Broom sometimes. Obviously, it's differently than how Shea puts the ball in the hoop. Like, they don't play similar at all. But I think with that Georgia game, you just saw Janai Broom kind of in the flow state. Like, okay, Mike White's not going to double. He wants to be stubborn. I'm going to make you wish that you doubled me 10 minutes ago. And he just continued. I mean, he shot perfect from the floor in the second half. And like, it just looked like he was letting the game come to him rather than forcing, which I think everyone on our team has a tendency to do that at times. I think sometimes people force shots.
Oh yeah.
But just watching him kind of show Georgia that, like, I'm the best player that does this. Like, there's no one better than me. You're not going to play anyone better than me. And, I think next time if we see Georgia again, I think the coverage will be different. That's kind of the game that Janai Brim had. He's like, I'm here. And like, National Player of the Year race shouldn't be an argument now after that type of game. Um, just the way that he commands the game. And I mean, it's easy to think about like where we are with him, but you also have to think about where we'd be without him. Like we have to cherish Jai Broom because it's going to be tough to watch Auburn basketball without him next year. No matter who the replacement is, no matter how good he is, or who it's going to be, um, he's one of a kind. Like, I think he's probably the best player to ever wear a jersey at Auburn, just as far as what he's done at Auburn.
Hmm.
And I know there's some people that won't agree with that, but I don't really care. Janai Broom is that guy, and that's kind of all I gathered from the Georgia game is just he's that guy. And Bruce Pearl trusting him that much in the second half is also a testament to who he is. And Bruce is a great coach for a reason, and all of his players love him. And it just shows on the court. No matter what people want to say about Bruce Pearl, his guys love him. So
Yeah. Shout out Bruce. He loves his players, man.
yeah,
Loves his
yeah, and
players.
Bruce is. That's another thing. Same thing with Janai Broom. It's going to be hard to watch Auburn basketball without Bruce Pearl on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's
It's
always
gonna
something
be
I've
very
loved about.
sad.
Yeah, something you got to love about Auburn, and it's been fun to see it all formulate kind of how it did on Saturday, especially with
Yeah.
how bad the first half was. I mean, you said it. That was it was not good
Awful
basketball.
basketball.
It was terrible basketball. I think the only half that we played worse than that was probably Tennessee.
Yeah, that
But as
was that
far
was
as
gross.
if you factor into like who we were playing, then the Georgia half was probably the
Yeah,
worst
for
one.
sure. I mean, Tennessee's at least a top 3 defense.
Yeah,
I think they're number 1 in KenPom right now. Houston might
yeah,
have passed them after last night, but um, I think you were talking about earlier about the National Player of the Year race, and we had
yeah,
a kind of little segment on this last week. But um, one of my takeaways is like, yeah, it's kind of hard to score a quiet 31 points, but I feel like when Janai pops off, it's it's almost like, you look at the scoreboard and you're like, oh, Broom's got 5 points or whatever. And then you look up at the scoreboard again and he's, got 25 and, 12 rebounds.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, what? Like, I feel like with Broom, it's like he fills up the stat sheet, but like you don't really realize it because he's doing, like you said, in the flow of things. And he's like,
Yeah.
he's not forcing things. He's just being where he needs to be at the right time and playing with a lot of high basketball IQ. And that is where Flag, it's almost an advantage for him because you're not going to see all these, Janai Broom like layups or, moves in the post. You're going to see, the Cooper Flag poster that ends up on Sports Center or the step back three or the N1. Like Janai's not as flashy as Cooper Flag,
No,
and
definitely not.
I think that is one of the things that doesn't help him a whole lot, which is definitely not a negative thing. Like as a
No,
basketball
definitely
player,
not.
like if you're an NBA scout, like it doesn't matter how you're getting buckets. Buckets are buckets, but like
100%.
that's definitely what it comes down to, and I think that's also part of the reason why ESPN is really pushing Cooper Flag, along with obviously the name on the front of his jersey. But
Yeah.
that's here
Well,
nor
I
there.
think, I mean, I do agree, obviously, Jeni Broom is just objectively less flashy than Cooper Flag. I mean,
Yeah.
Flag will take off from, it feels like, right at the free throw line and put someone in the rim, and you're like, "Okay, that's pretty
Mhm.
awesome." Like, you know, Jeni Broom doesn't play that way, but I think even Jeni Broom's flashy plays where, that pass against, who was that? Was that against Arkansas or was no, where he threw
He's had a bunch of those
the
just
wraparound from the post?
beautiful wraparound passes that I've just been like, like there's one I think he's done that wraparound pass like same spot on the floor, like both of them were at home, and it was like both of
Mhm.
them were corner threes. I think to Chad or somebody.
I think it was
Um,
Miles Kelly.
yeah, it was Miles.
Yeah.
Just
Just right
beautiful,
in the shooting pocket, just
and
right where the ball needs to
he
be.
knows he's gonna be there. That is
And
a very underrated part of Broom's game. Where, I mean, when you look at bigs that Auburn's had, I mean, obviously Walker Kessler, like big Utah Jazz guy, but Walker, like when he got his triple doubles, it was on, you know, points, rebounds, and blocks. Whereas,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Broom's had a couple games where
he's flirted
he's
with
got
it.
almost gotten there from an assist, which is like crazy. Like we're used to being, the team that has all these blocks and the box celebration,
Yeah,
but like Janai's been throwing out some dimes, and I feel like that's a really underrated part of his game that
yeah.
like
No,
gets
I
lost
think
a lot of the times behind his like
his
double doubles.
his passing ability. I mean, I said it. Um, I said it a while ago. I can't remember what game it was against, but he made that same wraparound pass to the corner. Um, and I said, something that this, sounds crazy, but I think he's probably the best, at least that I've ever watched. I'm sure there's someone, better, but as far as like the ability to kill a double team as a big man who can score through a double team, like Janai Broom's capable of scoring through a double team. His ability to throw lobs out of the double team, his ability to find open shooters, to find even the open man, even if it's not for a shot, find the open man and relocate and find something else. Like his feel for the game is incredible.
And honestly, it's pretty easy to know what to attribute that to. I mean, considering he was what 5'10" in high school. I mean, he played
Yeah,
point guard,
yeah.
at
Which is
Tampa or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, that's the same way. I mean, that's how Anthony Davis. That's why Anthony
that's
Davis,
good.
when he first came to the league, had some guard skills because he was the same way in high school. He was
Yeah.
short and played guard, and I think it's helped Janai Broom a lot. And it'll help him in the next level too.
Hmm.
Being a passing big is, you see guys like Jokic and
Yeah.
Sengun and Vucevic, Sabonis, all those guys. I mean, they're all European, but
Mhm.
Janai Broom is definitely capable as a passer, and it's taken our team to a new level because you can't. I mean, he said it. You see the clip of him saying, like, what does he see when guys when they don't double him in the post? And he said like barbecue chicken. It's like if you don't double Broom in the post,
You're cooked.
he's gonna score it. If you
Yep.
double him in the post, you got 40% 3-point shooters all around him.
Yeah.
And that's why
Exactly.
still to this day, my favorite lineup that Bruce has ever thrown out, and all that I've watched Auburn basketball, as long as Bruce Pearl has been coached, the favorite lineup I've ever seen is Janai Broom with four guards. When it was like Miles.
Beautiful.
Chad, Tahad, and Denver all around
Yep.
him, and then we were just spraying. I don't remember what game that was, but we were just spraying them down.
I mean, it's like you can't make a team. It's not like you take away a team's strength. It's not like taking the 3-pointer away from Alabama and making them beating you with layups. It's choosing which way you want Auburn to beat you, which I think is amazing about this team. It's like you can take one thing out, but I mean, you've still got, Miles Kelly, Denver Jones, Todd Pettiford
Yeah,
splashing threes. But so for the second half, um, we got two pretty big games this week. Obviously, we'll start tomorrow. The game I'll be in attendance for. Ole Miss fighting Chris Beards. Um,
defining Chris Beards. That's crazy.
uh, our old Auburn guy Wes Flanagan on staff over there. What do you think is going to be key? Because last matchup, obviously great win on the road, but and I think this might have been part of the game plan, but Padula, I think had 30 points against us, and
Yeah, he was.
yeah, obviously you don't really want to repeat any 30-point scores
Yeah,
if
you
you
don't want to
can
see
if you
anyone
can
score
handle
30
it,
on
but
you.
obviously we'll take the win. But what do you think's key for that game tomorrow?
Ole Miss is a great defensive team, um, and I think shots have to fall. I mean, I haven't watched as much Ole Miss as maybe other teams in the SEC because they're not a team that really like interests me that much. I know that's not like I should watch them more just so I can know more about them, but I'm just being honest. Ole Miss is a great defensive team, and I think one thing that I noticed from the last game is they seemed fired up to play us. Like Padula had a great game. Malik Dia was out there, making plays, and um, he seemed like he was playing hard, like trying to get into guys' bodies. And I think staying out of foul trouble and just making our open shots. Like we just got to hit our open shots. That's been an issue for the last two games. I think if we make our open shots, shouldn't be a game, but that's what I said about Arkansas, and it was a game. So
Yeah,
you
that's been
never
our
know.
problem is knocking down open shots.
Yeah, and
Um,
also we could say it every game. Just feed number four. Just
yeah,
feed number
number
four.
4 and white is your best friend.
Right.
Um, I mean, I don't know. It's it's one of these teams where we've already played them before. Like they know what
Yeah.
we're gonna do, and they're gonna try to improve on what they messed up on in the last matchup. And we know what they're trying to do, and we're gonna improve on that.
Hmm.
Um, there's really not a whole lot of storylines going into that game. I mean, obviously Wes Flanagan, but I think most of the attention is on this weekend.
Against
It's
Kentucky.
big ABC game. I think Marlene, shout out Marlene, best SID in the country. Um, she said that I think maybe only four Auburn basketball games. This will be the fourth, or maybe there's been four
Hmm.
games that have been broadcasted on ABC. So it's pretty cool to see that again with the football deal kind of carrying over for basketball too. And then of course the A team of Dan Schulman and Jay Billis are going to be calling that one. So what are you
Hopefully
looking
it's
forward
not
to in
a.
that one?
Well, first of all, shout out to Mark Pope. He's a Utah guy. So
Hmm.
shout out to Mark Pope.
He is a very lovable coach. I will say that. I
Yeah.
I
Pope
I
is
like him a lot.
I went to school with his daughter. So I mean, but like, it's just cool, like seeing a guy that his family like went to like walk the same halls as you, just seeing him. He's at Kentucky now. He's a big shot. I was a big, I'm a big fan of Mark Pope. I went on a space with can't remember what his name is. He's like the big KSR radio guy. But I was in that space when Pope first got hired.
Matt Jones.
Um, yeah, Matt Jones, that's right. He was asking me, because I'm Mormon I'm pretty sure most people know that, but he was asking me if like Mormons could drink soda and all this stuff. I mean, it was a good time, and I was just telling him, Pope's a great coach, and he took BYU to the tournament. Obviously, they lost first round, but so that I mean, for me personally, it'll be cool to see a team of mine play against a Mark Pope team. I think I'm not 100% sure if Jackson Robinson's playing, but if Jackson Robinson and Kobe Brea get going, it's gonna be a long night because those guys can shoot the ball. And our 3-point defense, it was good against Bama, but there has been some games where I've like against Florida, where Florida was just ripping us apart, doing whatever they wanted to. Obviously, Kentucky and Florida aren't the same team, but I think just limit their 3-point shooting, and we could, say the same things for the Ole Miss game. Just make our open shots. But our defense, our effort has to be there because Kentucky is the same way as Bama, where I'm pretty sure if we hold Kentucky to 85 points and we win, Bruce Pearl would say the same thing he said about Bama. Be like, holding this team to 85 is an accomplishment
Oh no,
because they can shoot you
Kentucky
out of the gym.
Kentucky's team this year reminds me a lot of Bama's team last year. I mean, just
Mhm.
deadly 3-point shooters. I think they don't rely as much on the three as Bama's team last year, but I mean, the defenses are very comparable. I mean, no
Yeah,
defense by either of those teams. Um, I mean, I feel like when you look at approach this just from a historical lens, like obviously we always talk about how we've never won in Gainesville, but the big one is kind of the Rupp curse. Like we've had some good
yeah.
teams go
We
up there and still lost. I
just get
mean,
wrecked. Yeah,
famously, of course, the 2019 Final Four team went up to Lexington and lost by 30 and didn't lose again until the Final Four. Um,
and we shouldn't have even lost that game
yeah,
too.
shouldn't have
But
even
we
lost
don't have
that
to get.
game. Shouldn't have
Yeah, we don't
lost
have to get
again
into that.
ever. Should have
Yeah,
won the Natty. But um, I mean, I think we've only won up there either 2 or 3 times. So it's like this would be a historic moment. I mean, as much as
yeah,
Bruce
definitely.
his tagline with "Make history," I mean, this would be a great way to kind of you know put some icing on an already impressive historic resume um,
Yeah,
here at Auburn. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm very excited.
Also, shout out to Colin Chandler. It's another Utah guy.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you can tell by his curly mullet. Shout out to him. Farmington, Utah product. It's been cool to see him play. He was supposed to go to BYU and then followed Pope to Kentucky. So
Yeah.
it'll
They've
be,
got
I'm excited to watch that one.
they've got
I'm
a fun
excited.
little roster, and I mean, it's also amazing. It's really impressive. People don't talk about this enough. Is the number of injuries they've had to their guards? Like Kirk Kriisa, I think he's like out for the year. Um,
Yeah, J
and
Rob got hurt.
they've had the guy from Lamont Butler, like he's been hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had just a multitude of injuries, and they've still like managed to beat teams like Duke and Florida, and
put together
great team.
an impressive resume and a
Yeah,
team that I don't think anyone would. If you're pulling names out of a hat and for teams to play in the tournament, I don't think Kentucky is one of those teams that you want to see just off their 3-point shooting ability. And you know they're a good team, and Pope's a good coach in his own right, and he's getting comfortable in Kentucky, and yeah, I mean it's a lot of respect for Kentucky, but we got to beat them. A win in Rupp would be
historic.
this is the perfect season to get that win.
Yeah, it is.
I
I
mean, you
mean,
look at everything else that's happened as far as the different wins we got. We beat Bama 1 and 2 matchup. Like,
yeah.
it'd be a big win to add to the resume, and that's always the goal.
Yeah, which is insane to
Um,
me because when I saw the conference schedule, I mean, first of all, like low key, like we've been blessed. Like we got a very good, very favorable schedule this year, which
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it's very hard considering the conference we're in. So it did help that we got a better schedule compared to what we usually do. But when
Mhm.
I first saw the schedule, I didn't circle the Bama game. I didn't circle the Florida game. The game I circled was the game in Rupp because I said there is no. This was at the beginning of the year before we knew what we were capable of. But I said there is no way that we are going into Rupp Arena and winning. I said I don't care what happens. There's no
Mhm.
way we go into Rupp Arena and win that game. And typical Auburn fashion, I've now convinced myself that we're going to Rupp Arena and winning. Um, no, but I mean, like you said, I mean, this team, like, if they want to make history, like, this is such a great opportunity to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we were kind of talking about this earlier, just to pivot a little
Hmm.
bit. When you're looking at, there's a tweet that went out this morning that garnered some attention from the Auburn fan base. We can talk about that. What do you think about all this talk about us being an old team in college basketball? Just that statement alone, the whole Yahoo Sports Thunder Auburn starting lineup comparison. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, shout out to Yahoo Sports between that and the Bronny effect tweet a few years ago. That
Yeah,
one was
that
great.
was classic.
Um, but I mean, come on, like. they knew what they were doing. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, first off, I mean, Auburn is not that old compared to your average, top tier college basketball team. I mean, shout out Brandy, like she was putting up those Kim Palm numbers and like I mean, yeah, I'm sure some of these players, they're not, they're older maybe than their year or experience suggests. But if you
Hmm.
just look at the raw, like the Kim Palm numbers, which are the closest thing you have to how old your team is. I mean, Auburn is what, not even in the top 25, and a
I think we're
certain team
26,
in
right?
state is.
Yeah.
Um, that's
Kansas
been,
is
yeah,
one.
been talking most of that crap. Yeah, Kansas is number one. Like, and they're not, they just got blown out by
No one's
BYU.
talking about it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
Shout
just
out
because
to
we're the
that
number
game.
one
Yeah.
team, and that's what I think is dumb. Is like, I mean, people like to hate on this, extra year of eligibility, get a job, whatever. But like me personally, I kind of like it because it's allowing people like Chad Baker Mazzara and I'm trying to think of other JUCO guys, but that either screwed up or had to go down a level or started from that lower level and made their way up and to finally
Mhm.
succeed and not just get a year to succeed at that high level but multiple years because you know that's ultimately what I love to see and I think it's dumb that people are hating on that
Yeah.
and acting like these guys are like beating up on children or something like bro like
Yeah.
we get your trolling
Yeah.
but like let's be serious dude come on
What's the same people that say that Cooper Flag should be National Player of the Year because he's younger that think that Auburn's
exactly.
better because they're older, and that makes you can't think both of those things.
No, the whole
I
age
think
argument in
it's
general is
stupid.
just so dumb. Like, just let the kids play basketball. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
a
who's the player
hooper is a
that
hooper, bro. Like, we're not gonna say, oh, LeBron, Wimby is the greatest of all time, not LeBron, because LeBron's so old, and like,
he's beating up on 21-year-olds? It's like
yeah,
they're both
exactly.
in the
Like,
NBA.
LeBron, exactly. Like, get out of the league,
Yeah.
Unk. Like, exactly. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think it was Matt Barnes that tweeted out about like let the kids play or whatever, and he was like 22 when he graduated college, which is the same age as Miles Kelly and Janai Broom.
yeah, exactly.
It's like everyone thinks Janai Broom is old. He is 22 years old, which is the normal age for a college senior. Like that's what's the issue with that? And I mean, I understand the trolls. Like we've we've been on Twitter for some time, and we know what the trolls are like. But like, let's not act like everyone on our team is pushing 30 and like it's a big deal because BYU. I mean, they're right down the road for me. And shout out to BYU. I know a lot of good people that go to BYU, and I've met some of the players. They're super nice guys. They had a guy, Spencer Johnson, last year,
Hmm.
who was 26 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
He's
it's
older.
happening
He was older
everywhere.
than
Like,
Jason
just look
Tatum.
around.
Yeah, and no one cares. The only reason they care is because Auburn's number one in
Because
the
we're
country.
succeeding.
Yeah,
Exactly.
if we were middle of the pack SEC team, no one,
Nobody would care. Nobody bet an eye.
literally no one would care. And I
Yep.
saw some Alabama fans saying that like the only reason that people like say it is because
Because we're number
like
one.
people acknowledge it is because we're number one, and
Yep.
I think it's dumb. If guys were like if we had a team full of Cam McCormicks like the Miami tight end who were playing 9 years of college,
That'd be
I would get it.
understandable, but, like, come on.
Yeah, it's just it's a stupid argument, and I think there's no point in entertaining it. And I think
Entertaining it.
us as Auburn fans, like Auburn fans on Twitter especially, we have a tendency to like give things too much attention. You
Yeah,
know,
just go after him.
we all saw what happened on the TL yesterday, with some certain people talking about a certain
Certain
guy.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, and Auburn fans we're all in on it. Same
Yep,
thing
we're
with the
all in
age
on it.
thing.
We
I
love
think
it. We
people
love our
just got to
school.
ignore it.
Well,
Yeah,
as my camera's gone blurry here, I guess I think that's time for me to shut up and another amazing podcast episode to end.
yeah. Let's get some. We'll get some. It was fun. It was fun last week seeing the reception. There wasn't as much hate as I expected.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Shout
who
out
was it
to
that tweeted out about like looking for new podcasts besides the usuals? Is that DGB? Shout out to him. Shout out
Yep.
to Goats, obviously.
Shout out Nate Goats. Shout out Linda's
Shout out,
Hive.
yeah, shout out the whole hive. If you guys see this, Shout out to you guys, and shout out to JM. Got to show him some love. He's been
Of
out there
course.
campaigning for Janai Broom. I saw his one of his tweets on Instagram, and that was a big moment for my
Huge.
boy. And he's helping me rehab my calf, so from afar. So shout out to that guy. I'm
Amazing.
on IR. Bless up. Church game this weekend.
Get rested. Rest up.
Rest up and War Eagle.
Yep. War Eagle.